I'm gonna try and just get rid of the fractions, right? And as soon as you get rid of the fractions, the whole question just turns into something that you know how to work with, right? And so when I look at this, I'm gonna try and find a number that both of those things go into, like the smallest one. And then when it goes in, like you just multiply everything by that number, and you're gonna do it twice, right? So once for the top equation and once for the bottom one. Okay? You're going to say, okay, what do I have to multiply the top equation by to get rid of the fractions? And what do I have to multiply the bottom equation by to get rid of the fractions, right? And like, I suppose getting rid of the fractions might be a bit premature in terms of like maybe where you're at. But let's just say multiply each of the equations by the number that they both go into first, right? The smallest common multiple, if you will, right? Is that okay? Or I'll monitor the chat here, Cam, too. Okay, yeah. Okay, Cam, yeah. So, what I would say, 8 could work, right? But I know, because I've done a few of these, that if I were to multiply this one by 4, right? 2 goes in the 4, but 4 also goes in the 4 once, right? 4 times 1 would be 4. Okay, so you could use 8, but it's just making the numbers bigger for no reason. You know what I mean? But you could use 8. That's perfectly okay. But I just recognize that I can multiply them both by 4. And what you'll see here, when I come down and I redo number 1, right? I'm going to write 4 times 3x plus 1 divided by 4. That has to equal y, 4 times y minus 1 divided by 2. Okay? Now, what you'll see after you've done that, you'll see all of the top is divided by the bottom, right? Same thing over here. All of this top is divided by the bottom. And so really, if it's the entire top, I can do this divided by this, and this divided by this. Is that okay? Okay, so then you just say, okay, well, what is 4 divided by 4? Well, that's 1. 1, and then it's 1 times 3x plus 1. And that has to be equal to, what is 4 divided by 2? Well, that's 2 times y minus 1. And now this turns into just a question that we know how to use, right? And it's just a substitution or elimination, right? That's just one of the equations, but there's no more fractions is the point, right? And so you're going to get 3x plus 1 is equal to 2y minus 2, because I took the 2 and I distributed it into both of the things in the bracket. You okay with that? So this is now like the new number 1. We'll call it 1n, right? The new number 1. You can put a box around that. Okay, you just do the same thing with number 2. That's all, right? Like you take number 2. It looks like, I don't know, both of those things, 2 and 3, go into 6. That's the first common multiple that you would hit, right? So you say, okay, well, if I take this and I multiply everything by 6 here, then number 2 is going to turn into 6 times 2x plus 4 over 3 plus 6 times 1/2 is equal to 6 times 2y minus 1. Okay? Now, same thing. Right? You can see here it's the entire top divided by 3, the entire top divided by 2, right? And when you multiply fractions, you remember top times top and bottom times bottom. And so we can just simplify all this. So 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2x, 2x plus 4, plus top times top is 6, bottom times bottom is over 2, right? And that's going to be equal to 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. Okay, and then you just distribute this in. You just like simplify again, right? And you get a new line that's going to go something like this. 2 times 2x is going to be 4x plus 8 plus 6 divided by 2, well, that's going to be plus 3, is equal to 6y minus 3. Okay, and then you can clean these up because they're like terms. Right, you could say, okay, well, 4x plus 11 is equal to 6y minus 3. So this is like the new number 2. Right? And so you've got two equations here now, right? I might choose to clean them up one more step before doing any substitution elimination. But it looks like it's not bad, right? Like maybe we'll bring number 1 down, right? We'll copy here. Let me just copy it. Okay, we'll put this here and I'll clean this up one more step. And we'll say, okay, this is going to turn into... if I create a 0 pair here, so plus 2, what I do to one side, I got to do to the other, and you're going to get, that's a 0 pair now, and then you're going to get 1 plus 2, that's 3x plus 3 has to equal 2y. Okay, and then you can say, okay, well, let's take my second equation, my number 2 here, right? And we're going to say, okay, I'll copy it as well. Or maybe I'll put it over here again. Okay, and we're gonna I'm gonna create a 0 pair here. I'm gonna add 3, and what I do to one side I gotta do to the other. You say, okay, well, that's a 0 pair now. But 11 plus 3, well, that's 14. So 4x plus 14 equals 6y. Right? So this looks all right now, right? Because like in terms of like the solving process, right? If I took this and slid it over here, my variables are lined up. And if I wanted to, like let's say eliminate, let's say I wanted to eliminate a variable, I think I'm gonna like, the easier of the two variables to eliminate, I think is gonna be this one, like the y's, right? So let's eliminate the y variable. And how do I do that? Well, I could take the first equation, right, the blue one, and if I took that blue equation and I multiplied it by times 3, the whole thing, right, then you'd get a new one down here that would turn into 9x plus 9 is equal to 6y. Well, if I subtracted these two equations now, right, I'm going to have 4 take away 9. That's going to be negative 5x. And then I'm going to have 14 take away 9. That's going to be 5. And then we have 6y take away 6y, well, that's 0 y's. So here's what you got. You have negative 5x plus 5 equals 0. So let's just solve for x. Create a 0 pair by subtracting 5 from both sides. There's your 0 pair. You're going to get negative 5x is equal to negative 5. You can divide both sides by negative 5. And you get x equals 1. Okay? Okay, if you're at this stage, you have one of them, right? Remember, a point of intersection has an x and a y, right? And so we know that the x is 1, but I need to figure out what this y is, right? And so I'm going to take this, this value of 1, and I'm going to plug it into an equation. One of these, like, any of the blue, purple, or red equations will work. Okay? I don't know, I picked the one with the smallest numbers because I like working with the smallest numbers possible, right? So let's plug our value of x equals 1 into the blue equation. So let's say 3x, I'll just rewrite it. And then I'm going to take my value of 1 for x, right? And I'm going to plug it in where I see the x. And I'm going to get 3 times 1 plus 3 has to equal 2y. Well, 3 times 1 is 3 plus 3. Well, this is 6 equals 2y. Divide both sides by 2. So y equals 3. And you can fill that in. There's your point of intersection.